Welcome to Ascension of the Chessmen, diving into the esoteric, occult, spiritual, and conspiratorial aspects of life, focused on solutions to the problems we face in our everyday lives. Let us ascend above all differences. Let us be the light in darkness, a breath of fresh air to those who can hardly breathe, and together awaken into greatness. This is Ascension of the Chessmen with your host, Andre Mytty.
Welcome to the Ascension of the Chessmen podcast. I am your host, Andre Mytty. Today's guest is a hip-hop DJ, producer, truth seeker, and student of natural law. Ladies and gentlemen, hobbits and fairies, give a warm welcome to Derek Bartolaselli, a.k.a. AwakenYaMind.
Hey there. Thank you. And thank you for taking the time to sit back and recline and check out what we have for you this afternoon. And yeah. I thought your name was Andre Mytty. And then I was like, oh, it's Mytty. Well, alrighty. But you do come pretty mighty indeed with what you're bringing forward. And yes, delight to be here. I appreciate it, man.
Likewise, brother. So happy to have you. It's funny you say that. Like, I get that all the time. And it's like my name is short and to the point. Like, it's just people don't hear Mytty very often. But my buddy Mark from My Family Thinks I'm Crazy podcast, he's like, dude, you should rock that. Like, Andre Mytty, like, why not?
Oh, yeah, man.
So I think maybe one of these days I might embrace it and just go with it.
Do it, man. Yeah. Yeah, I like how it's spelled too. Double Y, right?
Yeah, Swedish.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I got German, Yugoslavian, Italian blood within me, and I'm only like a first/second generation American, really. My mother was born in Germany, and I've had a lot of European ties. I've lived in France for a dozen years, and man, just like so many different perspectives to pull yourself out of like the americentric way of life that we're kind of brought up in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a really unique upbringing. I've been to Europe since I was 5 years old because my mom wanted to go back to the motherland. And then I was like 10 years old. And then I went back twice when I was a teenager because I was playing soccer. And I had like such a once in a lifetime that made it twice to go on a soccer tournament tour type of thing. And so just like being exposed to all this stuff and like, just like seeing how people act in a different society and how they're civilized in a different manner and how they just have a different enjoyment towards life and how they take the time and to enjoy the little things sometimes. And they actually have more free time from the rat race already. And in France, my ex-wife, which is the reason I was in France, by the time, we were at the divorce stage 3 years ago, she had 8 weeks of vacation, yo.
Holy shit.
Like paid vacation, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Vastly different than over here.
Yeah. So anyways, not to deviate too much from,
I was just going to say, I went to London in high school, which was an amazing experience. It was a class trip we took and,
sweet.
Yeah, for the most part, it was amazing. But I do remember there was this instance where we were just walking down the street and, we were tourists. We all had matching EF Tours backpacks. So we stuck out like sore thumbs.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
But outside of that, I remember like this guy came up to us and he's like, you bloody Americans, like fucking hate you, go back to your country. And it's like, damn, like I was not expecting that. So I have to ask, brother, like, have you got any flack for being American, being over there?
Yeah, sure. And I mean, you're going to get the tourist treatment, almost wherever you're from sometimes in a foreign place, especially if you have a different skin color and you're sticking out like a sore thumb. Exactly.
Right.
And, but in total, I had really fortunate experiences and I didn't really have any threatening confrontational types of situations. Because since I've been there, several times from a young age, what I noticed is and how I met my wife was through a exchange program in 2008. And I went to the south of France, Marseille, and yeah, you see things through rose-colored eyes still, you know, especially if you're living outside of like the city center. And then you get those reality checks when you're caught after midnight sometimes and you're all alone, and, you know, shit happens sometimes. I was lucky I didn't get, you know, robbed on or whatever. But I mean, at that time, I was already in the mindset of, all right, like I know, because I wasn't a fan of Bush and the weapons of mass deception and all that shit. Even before that, these crusty, you know, white-haired people and whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And that's white hair, not, you know, like the big wigs, whatever, you know. I was trying to make it clear that, hey, people to people, you know, all politics aside, we're like breaking stereotypes. Like, you know, yes, Americans were kind of brought up with a crappy americentric education that doesn't talk about world geography and history a whole lot, right? They skim over certain things, and yeah, if you want to take advanced classes and your electoral or whatever, you know, things in high school and whatnot, but it's still like a limited frame. And is it his story as opposed to real objective history, right?
Just flexing our muscles, we're the greatest that ever existed. Yeah. That type of his story.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've been able to flip the script with many people, you know, and trying to like, I was there trying to speak French. I took a French language before even going on that, even though I took it in high school a little bit. You forget these things so easily, and it's so rudimentary what you learn anyways.
Yeah.
But, you know, trying to, you know, you're in a foreign country. I mean, it's different if you're just going to England, right? But
right.
At least getting the 5 basic words of, you know, of courtesy, please, thank you, hello, goodbye type of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And just them knowing that you're making an effort makes a huge difference. And it really changes the tone of some, you know, interactions, if you will, sometimes.
Right.
And I've just had it really good because I have tried. And what I noticed with all my other American counterparts, there was like 20 other people that did the same exchange program. Maybe 1 out of them 20 folks tried to learn a lick of French before going over there. And like, they
probably study up first.
No, but here's the thing. And this is why we get capped for, you know, the stereotypes, because a lot of Americans expect everyone to speak English and that kind of stuff and cater towards their American needs and comfortabilities and shit like that. Right.
Yep.
So
true, dude. Glad you
They're just there to be like, yo, I did Paris, I did London, I did this. And it's like, well, what did you actually, you know,
take it,
immerse yourself in? Did you actually participate in the, you know, daily stuff? Did you actually help people sometimes? Even like, I'm on vacation, I'm picking up trash and this and that. I'm talking to the folks trying to understand where, you know, how daily life is and what are the daily conflicts going on, and, you know, what are, you know, the good things also, of course, you know, because it's so easy to have these conversations with people, you know, it's like, oh, how's it going? Like, oh, what's good about this and this and that. So I honestly want to know what's bad about certain things, because I learn a lot through those apophatic inquiries, right? You know, learning what is there, you know, what is good and bad, you know, like the process of elimination almost, you know. Totally. And a lot of people aren't accustomed to answering those types of questions, I noticed.
Put them on the spot. Yeah, dude, you're not just out there taking selfies in front of the Eiffel Tower. Like, you're doing the damn thing. Like, you're like, I'm going to make something of it while I'm here. I'm not just here to get a selfie in front of this landmark, you know?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with those. And yeah, it's all fun and shits and giggles and this and that. But yeah, just having a nice conversation with someone is something that people are looking forward to. But yeah, going back to the selfies, right?
Yeah.
Remember back in the day when we didn't have an available, it was hard to do a selfie.
Right.
Sorry.
You're good. It was hard to do a selfie back in the day.
Because we had regular cameras and we would always ask people, oh, can you take a picture?
Yeah.
And you have a map.
A conversation.
Tell us where to go here, there. No, oh, we got Google Maps now and we got our selfies and this and that. We're not really talking to anyone really. And people are so attached to their screens. Also, it's such a conditioning, right?
Yeah. Black mirror.
And yes, attention to the ascension of the Chessmen, where we try to do some transcendence and go beyond reality, right? It's not like, oh, well, this tech is bad. Of course, there's a good side. How can we, pull away from that and look beyond reality and see both sides of the coin and the table and this and that, and not play these silly games, right?
I mean, it makes life a lot better when we pull ourselves out of those fucking games, because I mean, the traps are everywhere, and why subject ourselves to that and make it worse and suffer even more, But before we get too far into this, brother, I'll start this out like every show. And for the listeners who aren't familiar, I guess, can you explain what it is that you do? And I guess what woke you up to realizing maybe there's more to this life than you originally taught or thought?
Totally, yeah. Before I was 10 years old, watching Simpsons sometimes, or just like, I knew this was going to happen. It's my birthday and I'm getting text messages. I got it on my...
Happy birthday.
Thank you, man. Yeah. 39 and feeling fine. And I'm still trying to live by the grand design.
Yes, sir.
The question of, death and like what happens after that. I just had that blank stare for a long time. And like, that was one of the first times I felt some kind of fire burn within me. Like, what the hell is going on? And what is this reality exactly? Right. I feel like there's something more to it. I feel like, I've had something in the past. Yeah. I've had moments where I felt like there, people watching over me, guides and ancestors and all that stuff. And then you kind of go through the rung of, middle school, high school, and blah, blah, blah. I'm really fortunate to be in the Bay Area, and we talked about conscious music, and that's kind of the segue of my awakening and just being on that, higher path towards, like, there's the mainstream stuff. And like, I'm swimming against the current, I was really that in that kind of mind state for a lot of reasons. And I could play soccer instead of football and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I played all the sports, I was a typical American growing up. At the same time, I still felt a pull towards, the world is so big, that stuff, right? Yeah. But so conscious hip hop was something that made me realize, like, man, these guys are talking about, it's like street journalism, that rebel music, the righteous indignation of expression and higher trains of thought, and just like the lyrical mastery of one's vocabulary. It was so astounding to me. And I was like, wow, like that's something. And I was never a wigger or whatever, like, right. And I wasn't aspiring to be any kind of rapper. Cause I'm just like, some of the shit is so over your head. I'm like, dude, if I can't do anything close to that, why even bother sometimes?
Yeah, why even try? Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, so...
That's why I just stuck to writing, dude. And I called them poems more than raps, because like people would call them raps when like they'd read them, but like I would never physically rap them, dude, because I just could never develop a flow, man, for whatever reason,
I feel you. I've done the same, brother. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And the Bay Area was a great place as well. They had a lot of spoken word, open mics, and things of that nature. And I had one of my best friends growing up, who's actually still in Paris. He kind of followed me. He's got a sweet Persian wifey over there. He's a rapper, not a plastic one, but this man came up with the most ridiculous flows, freestyle flows, when he was like freaking 13, 14, 15, and like
natural,
man. Yeah. So growing up around musicians, amongst my peers as well, that was great. And we'd go to the city really young and even skip school and all that stuff. Lose out on sleep on school nights. So I snuck out maybe half of senior year.
Damn.
Like, yeah, man.
Young rebel.
Like I went to school high. I didn't go to high school, and I was pretty much over high school in junior year, more or less, because I just wasn't feeling it. I didn't like this, robotic structural routine of force-fed information and, result-based education or whatever. And there was like a alternative schools, not necessarily a Waldorf one, but something and I was trying to do that, but at the same time I was playing on the school soccer team and blah, blah, blah. And so, all right, just finish it out. And, oh, it'll be better for college, I guess. Didn't know what to do. Didn't want to take any kind of career path that just had me winded up in a monkey suit, you know?
Right.
And that's no offense, you know, because we need these people and they're doing, you know, great work that holds society up, regardless of the fact that, you know, a lot of these institutions are very cancerous and they got plenty of tumors growing out of them. You know, there's like these enormous growths that anyone with, you know, 15, 20 vision can kind of see in a spiritual sense. Like, but
yeah,
you don't necessarily need a third eye to see, you know, like things, but that's part of the cognitive dissonance and all that stuff. And like the secrets are in plain sight, right?
Oh yeah.
Because realize the real lies, and understanding the symbolism and how the language of numerology, gematria, and how all their symbol codes are communicating things that we just do not understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't understand a lot of hip hop artists that were speaking on these things at the time when I was still a teenager. It took me like almost a decade later.
Yeah.
Well, no, not that. Yeah, more or less. 2012 was when I had my like spiritual awakening, if you will.
Damn.
And that came from
same.
I
feel like a lot of people did that year, man. There's something going on.
Yeah, totally. And whatever the Mayan calendar thing was, the Apo to the Calyptine, the unveiling of, I wouldn't say knowledge. It's not like there was any kind of grand revealing of knowledge. What's that word that they used?
Apocalypse?
No, when they're going to publicly, disclosure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to disclose all this, ancient occulted classified information and shit. Even though we've had WikiLeaks and all that stuff over the years. But no, we're talking about the unveiling of certain energies and frequencies that have, that the earth has probably come into, I believe. And it's all a matter of people that have, set themselves up energetically, mentally, physically, emotionally, that are going to be attuned to those energies, and they're going to work with them as they will, because there's a lot of new age mumbo jumbo out there and stuff with the whole Ascension and all that. And I do want to read something about that.
Totally. Yeah. We can do that.
It just seems like it's a thing outside of oneself. It's an externalized, like there's a savior energy frequency coming in to save the world, and we're all going to ascend to 5D, Are we skipping 4D, people? Have people even mastered 3D?
I agree.
Inquiring minds want to know.
So stuck on the exoteric, man. Or Donald Trump's coming to save us. Yeah.
There's so much savior programming. I did a whole video on the whole QAnon stuff. When I go into savior programming, even, presidential candidates, even, certain leadership positions, those are savior programmings, religious folks are, So are people really going to step up and be the Christ consciousness that is resurrected, the second coming of Christ? That's us, every single individual,
Right.
And it's just an archetypal form of, energy, higher consciousness, whatever, right? You don't have to say he was a specific person tied to a specific religion, because actually he was against organized religion, as well as part of the holy trinity of money and government, right? Which is slavery, mind control.
100%.
So when other people of other faiths, we're talking about Muslims, right? What do they feel about Jesus? You know what I mean?
Right. They tend to think he's a cool guy.
Yeah, but they're going to choose Muhammad over the same time. But at the same time, there's still going to be, it's basically the same type of archetypal energy, even though there's distortions throughout the scriptures of what those actually mean and what they actually truly represent on a multidimensional level at the true core essence.
Right.
So
Yeah. I mean, it's really up to us, man. I mean, we can't just sit here and wait around. And that was a hard lesson I had to learn myself, because when I was first waking up, I was very stuck on the exoteric and the book of Revelation's coming true and we're living in the end times. And that drew me back to the church. It's commonly said, if you're scared, go to church. And I definitely was scared and went to church. I went back to church. I had just left Catholicism at that time, went to this Pentecostal church. It was very much a different scene. People speaking in tongues and very much more lively than a Catholic mass, which felt like every service was a funeral.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I know what you mean. And yeah, I had a good laugh listening to your first podcast on that, man. That's cool. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we could be against organized religion, but at the same time, recognize the good that was brought about it. It has been a sanctuary for people to kind of find some reconciliation and repentance and this and that.
Yeah.
So
morality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely thankful for the life experiences I had in the various religions, all within Christianity, that I went through, whether it was being baptized Lutheran, going to evangelical church for a bit, and then going to Catholic school, and then getting into Pentecostal church. I've worn 4 different suits within the Christian umbrella. So I know the drill, and I'm definitely grateful for those experiences and what I have gained from it. But just coming to that realization, like, the church isn't going to change me. I got to change myself. And I was just waiting for that to click. Like, once I get baptized, it's going to happen. Like, I'm going to be born again.
Yeah.
It was actually being born again through an LSD experience. After hearing my pastor's story of how he became a pastor in the first place, he had taken some acid. He was in a very rough patch in his life.
You're talking about the story when he saw the chessboard melt or whatever?
Yeah. So the chessboard flew on the ground, and the only piece still standing was a white king standing straight up. And he saw that as a sign. And when I heard that story, I was just fucking mind blown, because I had tried acid before this and didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was in high school, just taking it like a party drug and not really thinking anything of it. There was nothing really spiritual in that first experience. And so many years later, after hearing that story, I had my own experience and huge breakthrough that totally blasted me open to, we're all one, like seeing this geometrical grid across the entire skyline, just feeling the trees giving me oxygen, and just feeling that direct connection, being up in the tree, and just taking all that in, dude, and all these downloads just coming through, and just really sitting with that for a while after that experience started to make me rethink why I was going to church every week after having gone for 2 years at this point. And that's what made me start to detach and start to take this spiritual journey I was starting to carve out on my own and away from the church. After years of being within that way of looking at things, like it's the literal interpretation, and starting to get more into the esoteric side of things rather than just the doom and gloom conspiratorial lens of seeing the world, and still seeing the beauty that's here and not getting lost in the doom and gloom, So that was some trials and tribulations on my journey.
Interesting. Man. Yeah. I'm sure you learned a lot from Truth Seeker.
Yeah, totally. He's been a huge mentor for sure.
Hell yeah. And are you familiar with the works of Mark Passio? I know you said you've been getting into natural law. Hell yeah. Have you seen his presentation on fake ass Christians?
Yes. It's been a while since I've watched it, but yeah.
Okay, likewise. Yeah. I thought it was pretty good, and obviously he touches on the esoteric side of things, and
yeah, totally.
What'd you make of that?
Oh man. Profound, man. All Mark's lectures are just top notch, man. It's hard to even fathom. You got to watch them 4 or 5 times to get your mind around it. But yes, a huge documentary for me was Eric Dubay video called I believe it's called Hidden Meanings in the Bible. And it's got the work of like Julian St. John, going into the pineal gland, and, you know, in the book of Genesis talks about Jacob meeting God face to face in the land of pineal, and just some very deep stuff, and all the astrology within the Bible and all of it, man. Like, that's what really cracked me open and made me take a second look at the Bible, after putting it away for quite a while. And I took some time to just highlight the words Jesus actually said, which is anywhere from 800 to 1,000 words out of a book that's over 800,000 words. So that's a very small fraction, man. And just getting to the heart of like what his message was. And to me, it was a pretty simple message. Like, just be a good person, like treat other people how you want to be treated, like shit we learned in kindergarten. You know, those bumper sticker messages we get from those profound psychedelic experiences that you laugh at looking back on, you know?
Sometimes I see little phrases like that tattooed on people's arms and inner thighs or whatever. And not to judge from the outside, but I don't know if they're necessarily living by those words all the time, or they need that reminder, you know, like looking at it, like, like we have these things encoded within our consciousness already, and it's just been cut off from source, you know, basically. And going back to reasons of awakening, and one of the biggest driving factors of me wanting to be awake, I was not really going down the conspiratorial rabbit tunnels per se initially. Because what I was really fucking upset about, I was like, dude, this is a ripoff, man. What in the hell is going on?
Same.
We are, as human beings, are operating on like 10% of our brain functionality. And we have dormant DNA, this quote unquote junk DNA. What the hell is that all about? You know, like, no, we're supposed to be a lot more powerful than this and activated, you know?
Totally.
And that led me on to the path of, you have to go through these rites of initiation, and there is the new age stuff, and you have to be very discernful, and you have to relearn some things and leave some other fluff aside and this and that. Because I tell you, man, I was almost extremely imbalanced on the right hemisphere of my brain after the awakening stuff, and just like a little overly blissed out sometimes. And I thought about this when you were talking. We're happy
all the time.
And just also being passive. That was really the thing that Mark Passio touched on that really clicked with me in his New Age bullshit presentation. And I was reminded of this whole thing listening to your podcast with Matt Belair, and saying, you know, he said the Buddha, right? He's gonna, you know, walk by, you know, injustice or someone being raped. He's not going to intervene, but Jesus will walk by and he'll, you know, flip the switch on that motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
And I was too much in that Buddha, you know, and I was like, oh well, that's, you know, just going through too much New Age deception things, and like they teach us to be passive towards, you know, injustice or whatever,
right?
And say like, oh no, don't worry about that because that's their karma, and that's just, you know, it's not involving you and this and that, and like, but at the same time we're all connected, and you know, other people's pain is our pain as well, type of thing. Like,
right? There's
some contradictions, what's going on? Like,
totally. Yeah. I mean, you know, I seen it a lot, man. I was really into those circles a couple years back, going to an ayahuasca ceremony the first time and really meeting a lot of awesome people. But I also did see a lot of spiritual bypassing as well, and very right brain only. And you couldn't get into the problems in the world or the societal structural problems and stuff like that, getting into the natural laws and stuff like this. It was very much so, oh, don't worry about that. It'll take care of itself. Just be positive, you know, the whole spiel they give you. And, you know, I see right through it, man. And It's shown me a lot about people's true colors. And I think the last 2 years really showed us a lot about each other and our true colors, and who we really are, and, you know, what our true nature is. Like, when the going gets tough, are we just gonna disown people we know because we disagree with them? Or, you know, confront them on something and like come to an understanding of why we believe the things we do? Let's get to the facts, you know, not fact checking through Snopes, but the actual facts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
just be civilized, for God's sakes.
Yeah, totally. And I've done a couple videos where you know, speak on this whole Discord situation where, you know, there's like the truth seekers talking down on the normies and calling them sheep and this and that.
Yep.
Like using that kind of language isn't really going to find your common ground that you're trying to break through towards. You know, you're not going to plant a seed on, you know, on that rock hard calcified ego that you keep, you know, solidifying through, you know, your kind of, I would say, aggressive language. But, you know, it's insulting for them. And they're going to be triggered.
I'm just picturing that meme right now.
Yes. So what kind of seeds are people really trying to plant, and with what intention? You know, like you said, we can see through some of these people and how far along the path they've taken sometimes.
Yeah.
Just in regards to their demeanor towards others, even other truth seekers. Oh, you have a little argument about, you know, what do you think the shape of the earth is? You're going to call that guy a whatever tard? Like, that's helping the situation out great, guys. Keep it up, man. You guys are making us look great in front of the elitists.
Yep.
They're laughing it up, and are those normies that you clown on all the time as well. So, you know, we can all man up, woman up. We can all do better. And there's this new age notion that, oh, you know, like, everyone's doing the best they can, and this, you know, it's like, just, you know, keep on, you know, like, people are doing, no. People need to step their whole goddamn fucking life game up. Because I would look around and a lot of shit is just low energy, mediocre, fucking sleepwalking through life. A lot of people, you know, people are not really activated on, you know, the frequency of having their shit together, aligned. You know, their emotions are in check. They're still vibrant, though. They've controlled that. They've mastered it. They've done the shadow work. They've done the mental contemplation and meditation and integration of all those beautiful, wonderful, esoteric and exoteric teachings that we're all trying to learn and obtain and to better ourselves. But, you know, are people just book smart, or are they also street smart? Where's that streetwise spirituality? That happy medium, right? So
there's got to be a balance, brother. And
and
that's been a huge life lesson for me, man. Continually, like every day lesson. You know, remind myself daily, like, don't get too obsessive with this. Like, don't overexert yourself into this. Like, you know, there's another day. You know, give it your best, but don't burn yourself out with it. Like, balance it out. You know, do these other things today. Like, you know,
totally, man.
You know, do what you can. Don't overdo it. You know what I mean? And that's
I learned in France. I learned a great lesson of moderation. You know, even with the food and lifestyle, and not taking things so extreme, and being a lot more mild mannered as well. Yeah, a lot of people want to act on their emotional impulses, right? Totally. And that's what I mean. How people haven't, you know, mastered, you know, emotions. Yeah, they haven't taken the time to sit down and digest and like sit with their emotions and be like, why do I feel this way about certain things? And why can't I just pull back and detach myself? What is up with my ego? Why is it, you ever get that spinning ball of energy of like negative and, you know, losing your patience, right?
Totally.
And it's really hard to unwind that, and it just keeps spinning faster and faster and constricting and just, you know, testing your patience even more, and you tend to kind of lash out, especially in the heat of some kind of argument. I'm still checking myself today. I raised my voice at some older people, like just like 2 weeks ago outside of a taqueria because, we were talking about some truthful matters, more or less, and from the get-go. And then they talk about the Jack scenes and all that stuff. And this woman's a vegan. And I was like, hey, don't you think that, big pharma is vegan or whatever kind of thing? And it's like, oh, no, it's because justifications, yeah.
Oh, geez.
Come on. Yeah. I still lose my temper sometimes, but I can still bring it some notches down and come and save face and keep looking them in the eyes and be able to. And a lot of these things have to do with breath control, I noticed, and also being able to hold space for opinions that are wrong. And
so tough.
How people are operating off of negative and false information, rather, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's a daily operation. We're all struggling with it to whatever degree. Maybe not all. I don't like to generalize, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I was going to touch on what you said earlier about planting those seeds, and calling people sheep and stuff like this. Like, that's like beginner shit, man. Like when you're first waking up, you're calling people sheep, but at some point you got to realize like you were a sheep too. Like you weren't always, who was born awake, dude? Like, unless you were in one of those elite families, and God knows if they're even born awake, they're born narcissists for all we know. You know what I mean? Like you got to empathize with others too. And that's the hard part. And that's where, like you said, being in touch with your emotional side is key, because if we don't have that sense of empathy for our fellow human being, that's still stuck on a lower level of streetwise knowledge, then, we got to hold space in those tough situations, which really, I think, turns the mirror back at us on where we're at as far as our own growth and our own shadow work we're working through, the great work, if you will. Like, boom. Where are we at in our triggers, and when they're coming up, are we aware of them even? You know what I mean? Like exactly. The fact you brought that up, that you were like, 2 weeks ago, like I got a little angry. It's like most people wouldn't do that, man. Most people would be too ashamed to admit, or too ignorant to even admit they had that occurrence. It's like, oh, that's just how I am. It's like, is that how you are, or are you just unaware of how you became that way? You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And to be honest, afterwards thinking about it, I felt bad. I think about, interactions with people and how things could have been said better and how I could have taken things better, and just like finding that yin yang balance of everything. And it doesn't have to be yin yang, but why did I get triggered that way? I know why, and I could have calmed myself, but there was a little alcohol-induced attitude towards it, maybe. Those damn taquerias, man, and those micheladas. Anyway.
It's hard to walk away sometimes, man. I feel like sometimes that's for the best, is like just to like get some space for a minute.
Totally.
Heated situations.
They told me to go away, actually. The thing that really set me off, though, actually, and this is when some of my compassion kind of goes out the window sometimes for people.
Yeah.
I'm going to paraphrase what they said, but they just said, like I hear what you're saying. There's some really fucked up things going on in the world and blah, blah, blah. But hey, like with his margarita, whatever, I'm just sitting back, watching the world burn type of thing. Oh, and he's not doing a goddamn thing to fucking turn it around, I love those people, right? Like,
oh my God.
But it's just a test, and I realized that, because, you got these podcasts going on and, people in front of their screens and some of that talking some great stuff, but how much are they actually putting into practice? Like actually on the front lines, interacting with people on a daily basis. Right. Like I was a waiter and a bartender for the past 15 years. So I spoke with hundreds of people a day. And so I got used to finding the happy medium of, good, good interactions all around, and trying to be able to slip in a little truth stuff, of course, you know, and
know the drill.
Yeah, man. And after a while, like, it became so easy. I had all my coworkers, well, not all of them, most of them, that, you know, came up like, hey, Derek, you know, I got this, man, this customer's, you know, like, I can't deal with them. It's too much and this and that. And like, because I was there to be the magician, you know, people called on me to turn that frown upside down. You know what I mean? And more times than not, it works. And it's not like I'm special or anything, this and that, but I just took the time to understand where they're coming from. And like,
totally
having the ego detachment from especially your workplace makes a huge difference, because people want to get offended just because someone's talking shit about the burrito that they didn't even make, or whatever, you know, whatever kind of food or thing that someone complaining about, that has nothing to do with the person themselves. You know, I see it all the time. It's so classic, you know, it's like they get flustered and like, I'm going to call the manager now, something like that. It's like, wow, okay, because I don't want to talk to kids. So yeah, that's better that way, kind of thing, you know. Yep. But I was trying to be like the bigger adult in the room and let them talk shit to me if they wanted to. I'd be like, yeah, go for it. You know, I'm standing on immutable principles and true knowledge and love for self. You cannot offend me. I do not get off-ended by someone just talking shit to me when they don't even know who the fuck I am.
Right.
Right. So that's how I break down the word, offended and this and that. You're offended because you weren't standing on, you know, your true authentic self and, you know, moral immutable principles that are just eternal under cosmic natural law. You wouldn't sweat these things, right? And so that's
sticks and stones. They break my bones, but words could never hurt me.
Yeah, man. Like, there's ways to just transmute that stuff, and you can gently hold a mirror up in front of other people.
Yep.
And kind of make them I've had people just, you know, took it back and be like, whoa, like, hey man, I'm sorry. Did I actually say that to you? Like, you know, you've been so nice and, you know, like, not angry with me. And yeah, I'm upset. I'm complaining, but man, I appreciate this and that. And I was like, awesome. It's a win-win. I'm in it for the win-win, you know?
Right.
There's conflicts that, you know, what is magic? It's the organization of chaos, more or less, you know, in its most simplistic, if you will, in a sense. And the Magi nation that is within each individual, which is their imagination, right?
Right.
Bringing down that word. How has that been cultivated within individuals, and how do they find creative ways to, you know, speak with other people? And this could be totally within the relationship realm as well, like even tenfold. If you love someone, you know, so much and you want to work on yourself and the relationship aspect that much, and, you know, have that cultivation of, you know, trust and love and care and compassion and, you know, patience, and communication.
Huge one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were talking earlier. I'm glad you enjoyed the podcast that Maria West and I did a week or two ago.
She's
man. I appreciate it, man.
You guys both balanced each other out well in that conversation.
Yeah,
I love what she's doing with that, conversations with men. I think it's
totally
a great thing.
Yeah, I've been catching up on. I saw the one that you did with her as well, and some other recent ones. She's fire, yeah.
She's fucking great, man. I can't say enough about her. But yeah, dude, I just wanted to say I totally relate to where you're coming from on that, and I've definitely been in those situations. I've been in retail now since November after being in landscaping for 10 years, you know, headphones in all day, not having to interact with people as much. So just kind of in my own world, but like now being back, you know, having those daily interactions, like I am able to plant those seeds and to get a work. Right now I work in the hemp industry here in Nebraska.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, man, it's a huge passion of mine, because that was really what planted the seed for me to start questioning things.
Double meaning?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
man.
honestly, me too, man. The whole Jack Harris stuff and like the whole Reefer Madness crap. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
totally. That's where it all began for me. So to like get to crush those stereotypes and like plant those seeds in the older generation who is still very bought and sold on the, weed kills your brain cells, all this nonsense and propaganda that they were fed for so many years. And, to be able to like hold space for someone when they're afraid to like take that leap of faith, like, oh my God, I don't want to get high, or, like, I'm like, listen, like, you're not going to get high. You're just going to be able to sleep throughout the night. Like the high is not even going to take effect. You'll be asleep while helping you sleep through the night. Like just like easing them through that process. It's very,
you're talking about CBD?
Yeah. CBD and these other cannabinoids that have been coming out since the Farm Bill passed and legalized hemp at the federal level. Which, laws and all that shit are nonsense anyways, but legalese speaking, hemp is now legal. So we have all these hemp shops over, yet weed is still illegal in my state. So it's kind of a catch-22, but to get to do that on the daily, man, is really a blessing. And to be able to plant those seeds with people, because it really opens up the doorway for other things. And you start to see where people are at. Like once you crack the door open on cannabis, it's like, whoa, like it opened a whole can of worms up, brother. And so I've had some great conversations in that way at work, and totally relate to you on being the person people lean to in those tough situations when a customer's upset or, very displeased with something that went wrong with someone else at work, and just kind of calming that person down, like making them feel appreciated and understood. And, just being able to feel them out and like build that trust to like allow them to speak to me and be vulnerable. And like you said, kind of reflect that mirror back, if you will. I definitely feel that as well, brother. So that it really close to home.
Well said. I appreciate that. And I love the whole hemp segue to, enlighten people towards, hey, man, it's a gateway drug, right? It could be a gateway to a new enlightenment, man. Holy shit. Watch out. Your paradigm might shatter in front of you, and then you got to
start
feel the empowerment within yourself. But you got to take it upon yourself to do that shit, man. But a lot of people find it daunting in just understanding that, I'm going to take responsibility now, like, and not have all these crutches around and distractions and all that. But it's worth it. Totally. I had one of my earlier works that I did, the first, like, I call it a docu-musical. Okay. I laced, some hip-hop tracks and other music. This one was all over the place. I even had, like, Paul McCartney, Let Me Roll It track.
Nice.
It was the marijuana/hemp docu-musical. And I laced over a lot of educational and scientific quotes from actual documentary regarding cannabis and hemp and all that. And it's really good. I put some visuals to it. I don't always
which documentary?
It's called the marijuana docu-musical. You can find it in my
I thought you said you pulled some quotes from a different documentary.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I think it's just called like a marijuana documentary, actually. Okay. And
I was going to say the one that blew me wide open, dude, was The Union, the business behind getting high. Phenomenal documentary if you've never seen it.
Is that more recent?
It came out in 2008, but actually led to Canada legalizing nationwide.
Oh, no kidding. Huh.
After it was shown.
I probably haven't seen that. Huh.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, man. And that's what like really got me to see like the potential hemp had on the industrial side, and like Popular Mechanics article about hemp was this new $1 billion crop right before it was made illegal. And the fact cannabis was in the U.S. pharmacopoeia until the mid 40s, back into the mid 1800s. And it's like, this was the most prescribed medicine that is now considered Schedule 1, no medical use, and highly addictive. It's like something doesn't add up here.
Yeah. And for folks like us that are maybe overly curious to the average person. We want to know why the hell that is. And we understood why. And we understand that there's all types of scarcity-based mind controls and, control over energy and all types of other things. Yeah, actually, my ex-girlfriend, partner from Australia, her ex-partner was on the brink of doing some really big things. As far as building a hempire.
Wow.
Because he was cultivating a whole system of hemployment, right?
Damn.
And they were like even having like government contracts to build like these hemp pod type of things for homeless people. I mean, there was a lot of great projects that were lined up because of this wonderful, glorious plant that's been suppressed and demonized and villainized for way too long. And yeah, the same old song, but things are different now. But holy cow, over here where I'm at in Oregon, the only reason I'm here is because I have a really good friend that I was staying with. I'm actually doing my own thing the past 2 months, but she's down in Medford. And since the whole legalization and stuff, like there's been a horrible imbalance of the way marijuana is treated overall. Yeah. As far as like growing it and stuff, like we got all these, male asshole idiots that, from her personal experience that she's, interacted with, because she grows, like she was on a really good system of, growing pounds per every trimester or quarter. Wow. And like today she can't even sell a half a pound of weed for like $200. It's so fucking inundated and saturated with stuff. And it's run by a lot of these, it's starting to come at the top of cartels now almost. And just a bunch of asshole fucking dudes that are, they ain't fucking Mary Jane right at all. No. These motherfuckers, fucking with the mother spirit. Totally. They're in it for the money, that's it. Yep. Straight up fucking narcissistic bullshit, feeding off the energies of things and then just leaving it to rot. And, kind of...
Such a shame, man.
Yeah, man. And you know what they do? They try to hire, cheap work, right? These young, cannabis ladies coming in with the short skirts and they're just trying to get in their pants, Right. Yeah, it's sick.
It's a fucking cruel game. And and I think there is something to be said about, just a lot of these rich CEOs just seeing the opportunity to make a bunch of money with legal cannabis, and whether they were fucking anti-cannabis like their whole life until they just see some dollar signs and they're like, oh, here's a business opportunity. It's like, what kind of intentions do you think these people have going into it? It's like, Jesus Christ. And, just seeing where hemp is at too, is like, you were talking about the hempcrete side and the potential to use hemp and housing materials and stuff like this, which that is my dream, man, to buy some land and create a hempcrete house. My God. Dude,
oh man.
Unbelievable.
I was aligned to that dream as well when I was over there, but yeah, it didn't work out. And then COVID hit. I wasn't even able to get into Australia to even try to make it work anyways.
It's just frustrating to see, like, so hemp is fully legal now. So we should be like really pushing the envelope, right? Like if legal means anything. And the fact that we're still like we're pretty much where we were before it was made legal. Like they've hardly given out licenses out. Like the process is delayed. Like a lot of farmers don't have production facilities next door. So that's delaying things further. And there's all this red tape around the whole thing. Like, back in World War II, like they were forcing farmers to grow hemp to make,
exactly.
to make fucking rope. It's like, imagine if we took an emergency approach to this and we're like, all right, all the farmers in this entire country have to grow hemp. And we're going to start using this for housing. We're going to start making fuel. We're going to start, making food and, all these great things we can make from hemp, replacing all the plastics, the list goes on and on.
Exactly.
And it's like, here we are.
yeah, here we are now. But I don't know if you've seen this meme in recent weeks, but it goes back to like, present day to like the 1900s. You said the 40s, but
Right.
say like 1930s. I forget, but the actual percentages, but it was around like over 50% of the population were working on farms. We have like not even 5% of the population working on farms and doing that stuff. So to have this, these are grand ideas to go back to, growing all these things that can replace all toxic substances, and the whole petrochemical industry just needs to be dismantled all the fuck together anyways.
Yeah.
But there's got to be so many transitions towards that and yada yada. Who actually wants to work on a farm? I actually do. I don't give a shit about money. But there's a lot of people, especially like, in this alternative truth seeking alternative community rather, and like, I think they have these fairy tale ideas of how life is actually going to be, like, all right, live on the land without any of the infrastructure that you're really used to in the modern world, I guess, you will.
Right.
And that's not like to say or stereotype alternative communities as going back to like, primitive times or whatever, but
right.
You know what I mean?
There's got to be a balance. There's got to be the 1 foot in, 1 foot out type of deal. I mean, I imagine a lot of off-grid homesteaders still have internet. I mean, I'm sure there are some without, but
yeah, I mean, I would have internet.
Yeah, I mean, it's a communication.
You're doing this work, right? So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think you made a great point, man. like, and it goes back to, Bill Gates buying up all the farmland. You have, this decrease in farmers and these massive buyouts, and just the way farming has changed decade to decade for the last, 60, 80 years. It's catastrophic, man. And I think this is where it all ties back to. Like, we got to do the work. Like, you got to grow your own food. You got to do the work yourself. You can't just like wait around, whistling, like hoping somebody shows up and starts digging a hole for you to plant something. Like, no, you got to get out there and fucking grab a shovel and get to work, man. Like,
yeah. Or at least, donate towards those causes that are going to help you out. Right? Yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, partnering with local farmers, buying your meat locally, not going to the big grocery stores like Walmarts and shit,
Yeah. And it does suck that, I'm at the farmer's market on a weekly basis over here. It's even more expensive in the expensive ass Bay Area for like a batch of kale or whatever,
Right.
I'm shaking my head like, what? How is that even possible? And then literally last night, I just learned that, I'm in Corvallis, which is a college town. There's Oregon State University.
Yep. The
Beavs, man.
our fucking head football coach came from there.
Oh wow!
A couple coaches back, Mike Riley. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. So I learned that. Because a lot of college kids actually want to learn how to do the farm work, and that's great news. I was really happy to hear that. A lot of these farms get pretty much free labor. But they come back and turn around and sell just buy like a zucchini for like $1.50. It's like 50 cents, when I was living in France even. It was cheaper back over there. And I've had some weird culture shocks being back here, man, I swear.
Another problem too, I wanted to bring up, since you brought up farmers markets, like I've heard the farmers markets here where I live in Lincoln, Nebraska, like a lot of them are, conventional produce. Like they're still fucking spraying their Roundup and spraying their fucking fertilizers and shit. And it's like, you guys are supposed to be like local, like organic, like, like doing things the right way, not like this massive money making, let's get the quickest product out there that's the shittiest for you, but the most
yeah, that's really
that's
unfortunate.
Something to watch out for too.
Totally, man, totally. And I started having a good rapport with a lot of the farmers market people, that sounds dumb, but I'm going to roll with it. When I was living in France, there was some fabulous farmers markets out there and really wonderful people that occupied them as well and provided beautiful, nutritious, nourishing food. And yeah, so some of the times you don't see like, oh, organic, certified, or whatever. And I kind of already knew and had an inkling that, okay, like the whole bullshit, government certified organic stuff is expensive as shit. Right. And it can be a very arduous and long process to achieve this whole certification of organic. Because the whole, soil, how toxic it is, how many years to let it rest, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of these farmers, what they do is they just bypass the whole certification. They don't spray or do anything. It's grown organic like their next door certified neighbors, but they just don't have their little seal of approval. And I'm totally cool with that,
I'm good.
And for them, that kind of also keeps the prices a little bit lower for their produce because they don't have that overhead cost or initial cost of,
So fucking ridiculous, dude. Like, why do we even have to have fucking organic? Like, it should all be that way,
Exactly. And why do I see in a lot of grocery stores, the organic produce is going to be wrapped up in some bullshit cellophane or plastic when the other shit is not? And also...
And such a smaller section, too.
Of course, man. Shit. It's pathetic.
Like a fourth the size.
At least sometimes, yeah. And what I noticed as well is like in France, they don't have all these little stickers that you put on all the fruits and vegetables and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they do that over there, but I noticed like I had like a little vine of tomatoes that were all attached, like 5 of them. There was a sticker on each one of them, like organic, organic, organic. There was even 2 or 3 stickers on one single flipping tomato. I was like, wow, is the price of tomatoes going up because I have to pay for the extra sticker cost now, guys? What's going on? Like,
oh my God, it's so ridiculous. That's the one thing I like about
control, but please, man.
That's the one thing I like about farmers markets, at least. At least you don't see the fucking stickers.
That's why I go to, and just to support local, even if it does cost a little bit more sometimes, even if it makes you scratch your head and wonder like, well, we're not going through the middleman of the grocery stores. How come you're selling this to me at the same price or more expensive than the average Safeway or whatever,
It's worth it.
It's kind of unfortunate. I can understand. And a lot of farmers in France literally commit suicide on a yearly basis because they cannot make ends meet, whether they have, government corporate contracts or not, it's really sad. And these are people's livelihoods and their whole life's work, and they have pennies to show up for it afterwards. Yeah, they still have their land and this and that.
So sad.
Maybe it's subsidized or whatever, but my heart goes out to these folks, and they're providing us the fuel to keep going on an everyday basis, So yeah, when I can, I'll shell out that extra $1 or $2 or $3, even sometimes, just, whatever. But a solution to that, and I asked the folks last week, and I just been kind of doing my own thing. I should have contacted them, but I have another reason for that, that I will mention after. But anyone can do this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does take a little balls and getting out of your comfort zone, but go up to your, farmer guy who's selling the vegetables and be like, hey, like, do you guys ever need any help on the farm? Can I learn from you guys? Can I work for you guys for free, but, or just for some veg kind of thing,
Yeah. Knowledge or fucking vegetables.
Yeah. And I haven't contacted them because I'm moving in a couple of days and I haven't eaten anything in 5 days.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. I'm on the...
It's no joke.
Master Lemon Cleanse.
I was going to ask what was in that.
Oh, yeah. It's lemonade. Homemade, freshly squeezed, sweetened with grade B maple syrup with a dash of cayenne pepper. That's the recipe for the Master Lemon Cleanse.
Nice.
You drink that as much as you want, all day, every day, and as much water as you want. You can have a tea at night or whatever. you can risk the coffee if you want, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the coffee part's tough.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, like doing this is a great way to kind of cut down on those bad habits and all that stuff. That's why I kind of do these things. And I did it this time around just because sometimes I'm just tired of eating. I'm sick of eating sometimes. I don't want to feel my body have to digest food all the time. I don't want to take 3 shits a day type of thing. You know what I mean?
Right. We're not meant to eat.
I eat a lot of fiber and I got a great healthy stool outlet, I guess. And like, but at the same time, it's like, I'm feeling that light body mode. I like that. I like that unbridled bodily energy where it's not hindered by the fatigue of, your digestive system, working hard to digest that lunch or dinner or breakfast,
Totally.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I do it for a lot of reasons.
I was going to say, was it tough up until like the 2-3 day mark? And then that's kind of the hump where it gets easier after that. Because I always hear it's like because I think I've gone 2 days or just around that, and then I caved in. But I need to give it another shot.
Oh, cool! Yeah,
I have been like intermittent fasting and just doing a lot of yogurt and fruit and kefir and stuff like that, just for some probiotics.
Yeah, those are good probiotics, man. Sure.
Yeah.
And I've done this literally for the past like 18 years. Sometimes I'll do it for a couple of days, sometimes a week, sometimes 10 days. I went up to 33 days.
Wow. That's impressive.
That was actually the birthday gift I gave to myself to cap off my 33rd year of birth.
Wow.
That's impressive. Yeah. Peas and rice, right? No, none of that. Not the 40 days Jesus did, but yeah, it was symbolic to, 33 and all that jazz. And yeah, this time around, I'm giving myself another short birthday gift. I'm only going to go 7 days on this. And then,
So how was that 33 days? Like, I can't imagine, dude. Like, so like I said, do you get past like day 2 or 3 and you're good from there almost?
Right. Yeah. I wanted to address that magical, infamous hump of 2 or 3 days. And sometimes it really, like this time around, I was shocked. I was totally fine. I didn't even feel any kind of difference because it depends on a lot of things. It depends first and foremost of how the mindset and will force that you're putting behind these intentions before you even commence. And I was already trying to do it for I was trying to do this like 2 weeks ago. And I finally did it. And initially, I doing this, for the first couple of years, I felt that for sure. And like you get that stomach growling and you punch the stomach, like, shut up, man. Like, we're going to be, no, just kidding. No, you got to be gentle with yourself and patient and just understand that these are temporary sensations and pains sometimes. Yeah. You fill your body up with water and liquids. And what I notice is that, if I get that craving, you just got to chug until it kind of goes away sometimes.
Yeah.
But not too much sometimes. And then you get that kind of bloated feeling.
Waterlogged.
Exactly. Yeah.
I do feel like it's commonly said, like often when we're hungry, we're actually thirsty and, we're really just dehydrated and need water,
Yeah.
But I think that's huge, man. And I guess any tips for the listeners that are trying to embark on a water fast, like preparation, or maybe shutting off the TV if you're seeing those commercials and
that helps.
Like that. I wanted to bring that up too, because that was a struggle for me, dude.
Yeah, or if you're living with someone and they're cooking food. I mean, I did this when I was working in restaurants, serving food to people on an empty stomach all the time. The 33-day one was when I was working on a beach 7 days a week. On a private beach that has all these beach chairs. I'm running around literally all day, every day. And then I get like a 1 to 2 hour break in between. And then I go back and jump behind the bar and I bartend pretty much until closing hour.
Mm.
I do that for 7 months, and then I get a couple months off, just like chill. And what helped me persist in the whole 33 days is that I had that set routine, and I was exposed to a lot of sunlight, which you might have heard about breatharians and stuff. Right. That's their life force energy that they're kind of, sustaining theirs through, aside from the prana or breath, right?
Right.
And they drink water too, right?
Right.
Sometimes I forget. I'm pretty sure.
That wouldn't make any sense. Like it's commonly thought like, oh, they just lived off air. They didn't drink water. They didn't piss or shit. They were just breathing.
Maybe a better term would be an aquarian or something.
Right. It's the Aquarian age, I guess.
Yeah. So, to prepare for all that, it's all about your state of mind and finding good reasons to do this. And a lot of people want to convince themselves not to do something. And I'm my worst enemy with that. I can stay inside my house for weeks on end like a hermit because I keep convincing myself like, man, there's too much work in front of the computer. You ain't got to go outside. You ain't got to just, work out or catch some sunlight. We got the great work inside. We're doing it. We're in the lab, yo. Come on.
Oh yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah, and it's not the worst thing, and it's for a good reason. But yeah, like you said before, and you touched on some great points, and like finding that healthy balance of things, and a little bit of play in between work, and just. And I noticed my overall physical strength outside of working. Even during work, wow, I'm serving. I have a big tray of food on my plate or drinks, whatever, all the time. I'm working out per se, but not really like lifting weights and like getting a good muscle build. And hanging out with a good friend of mine who does that. He's a fitness life and shadow coach. Working out with him, like rekindled that feeling. Like, oh yeah, I've been lacking that a little bit in my life, type of thing. And it just feels great, and it helps move out a lot of stagnant energy as well. So that's what helps me to not be so cooped up and also to catch a break and then come back anew and like, oh yeah, I was stuck on this one thing and now I kind of figured it out and we can break through to the next.
And did you experience any brain fog or anything, or do you feel like
not a whole lot? Geez, what did I experience? Almost like hallucinations, or just like not necessarily like losing my mind, but really just going off on some really, really abstract thoughts about things and just questioning the whole habitual, and it seemed like people are imprisoned by time in a sense in regards to meals per day and at what time and this and that. And brain fog was not really an issue at all. And bear in mind, I was one of those waiters who I had like European classic French waiters, they have a big tray of drinks and stuff in one hand, and they're, got one hand I can't write anything on it. I'm not going to set the thing down, and I take orders on the fly, and I got a good memory, and I just keep that and just boom, 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 like that was never hindered throughout the whole time I did my fasting or whatever. Mm-hmm. There's just like a different type of energy that just
comes through,
sustains you, I guess, Yeah. And like, I was just so hard headed and determined to see this out. Yeah. I think I even went 34 days, to be honest, but whatever. But
I feel like you really got to want it, and you really got to know your why, to be able to do that and persist past all the obstacles.
The why, big time. Yeah. Good call, man.
Yeah, dude. I just wanted to end on, this has been a fabulous conversation, brother. Love to have you back anytime. And I hope you have.
I appreciate that on you. Sure, man.
A great move, man. Sending you good vibes. Happy to see some change in your life, man. I know we can all use a change of location at times.
I moved around like 20 times in the past 3 years at least, man. I'm trying to find a stable place one day, but yeah. And likewise to you, all the best with your endeavors. I'm trying to,
Totally. Yeah, I just wanted to end on, did you have any daily spiritual practices that kind of help you stay grounded when life is feeling a little overwhelming at times?
Ooh, man. Yeah. I mean, growing up, I was always pretty much of an invert, and just turning inwards and finding your place throughout all the madness, and that doesn't make any sense. Like, it's more like trying to position yourself within the eye of the storm, I guess. And, it is kind of that apophatic inquiry as well. Like, you're taking all this stuff that is not yourself, that is not your true feelings and thoughts and perspectives, I guess, if you will. And like being in the eye of the storm, there's a lot of chaotic things around and things that might bother us and this and that. But if we come back in and recenter, which is the definition of meditation, right? Just a center. You're on the median of, your body or whatever. But it all depends on how one has, cultivated that within themselves, I guess, and I've done this for years and years and years, and it's just, and it is, to a good degree, just getting into that meditative mind state. A lot of good breath work as well helps out a lot. And then just taking time to sit back and reflect, pull yourself out of the situation so you can see it. I mean, for whatever reason, for as long as I knew about myself, I just see things in any situation through like such a multitude of perspectives to see things, And sometimes for me, like the hard thing was to narrow it down to like the most accurate or objective one, right? But it's like we can see all these things and we can appreciate the good and the bad, but it all goes back to having that true love and respect for yourself. The respectare, which the word means. I'm sure you've seen Pascal's work and how he loves to break down words and this and that. Yeah. And that's not to say like any etymology we're going to learn from is only from one single man, right? But right. Etymologically, I always get that in a tongue twister because I want to say it in French so bad sometimes.
Is that right?
Yeah, etymologyonline.com is a good one, for example. So spectare is to look at. You have spectators. What are they doing? They're looking, right? The onlookers. And RE just means to
redo or
exactly again. Like
right.
So we're gonna look again. We're gonna do those mirror moments. We're gonna see through the windows to our soul, through our eyes. Spend quality time with yourself. And shut off any distractions. I've been so grateful and fortunate to not be around so much minutia, I guess, for a long time. And even when I was with my wife, she was so silent and peaceful and respectful that, it was great with inner presence or not, but
distractions. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about maintaining a beautiful and comfortable temple within yourself, but also on the outside, right? Because the outside does have a reflection of one's inner, harmony or chaos.
Yeah, totally. Beautifully said, brother.
Appreciate
it. Thank you so much for coming on, Derek. Really enjoyed it.
Awesome, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and totally my bad on dropping the ball today. I want to
wish it's all good. Yeah,
happiest of days being born, man. And I hope you enjoyed today.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for taking the time out for my little show, and would love to collaborate again, brother. If you wouldn't mind telling the listeners where they can find you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I try to split my musical work, AwakenYaMind, which is Awaken YA-Mind. That's one word. I'm sure I'll leave this descriptions in the or links in the descriptions. But yeah, I'm on the BitChutes. I'm on Odyssey/LBRY. I'm on Mixcloud, that is strictly just MP3s, music mixes, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. YouTube is a limited hangout in general, but also for me, especially with the work that I do. And not everyone's like a truth seeker that's, the artist known as truth seeker. Right? Mm-hmm. That's the underground conscious hip hop that I'm about. And a lot of those works are not detected by the copyrights. So that's the beautiful thing about that. And that's kind of what I'm about. But at the same time, I still get snagged. I have like almost 30 videos, musical projects that, I put out over the past decade on YouTube that are no longer there. I can't put them on because the copyright strikes are just, it's too much.
Insanity.
Yeah, man. But that's why I love doing these podcasts now. And that's why I'm really grateful for the opportunity to come on and chat with you, brother. It's been really great. I really appreciate your perspectives on things and learning a good amount from you as well. Much love, yo.
Much love, brother. Well, I want to thank you all for listening out there. I hope you all found a moment of presence throughout this conversation. I hope you gained something from it. I send you all peace and love, and I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the week. Thanks for listening. Peace.